What's going on, everyone? Ains back from Season Gaming, and today we're going to be doing another controller video. So today we're going to be looking at the HexGaming Blade Esports controller for Xbox. Now, before we get into it, if you follow the channel, you know that we don't do any advertising, paid promotions, anything of the like. But I do have to say that HexGaming did reach out to me. They asked me to take a look at this controller, and so that's what I've been doing over the past couple weeks. Now, I have spent the last probably 4 to 6 weeks with this controller, using it in a variety of different ways, because when you claim an esports controller and it's an expensive piece of kit, which we'll get into, I wanted to make sure that I obviously tested it. So I've used it on a bunch of different games, ranging from competitive FPS like Halo 5 to, platformers and everything in between. So, first things first, HexGaming. They are a small company that is getting into the competitive controller market, where they take factory controllers for both PlayStation and Xbox and then modify them, customize them with custom parts focused on esports. So when you order this, you can get it on Amazon. It does retail for, in the US anyway, $185.99, so it's right up there in the same price point as the Elite 2, which if you can't see from the camera here, we have an Elite Series 2 here. We have a cyberpunk themed Xbox One controller, and we have the Series X controller. So we're going to be doing a comparison to all of these, and I'll explain some differences. When you do order the controller, you get, it comes in this box, HexGaming Esports controller, and it just comes with a couple things. It comes with your instruction manual and your quick start guide, along with a little packaging of custom thumbsticks. So very similar to the Elite, you get a couple variations of concave and domed thumbsticks, both tall and short. Now, first thing I want to mention is the look. So as you can see in the camera here, I've got this kind of glossy, see-through purple controller. HexGaming does offer up to something like 40 variations, and basically what they do is they take an Xbox One controller, customize it, and then put on different shell and color matching pieces. So you can order this with a variety of different faceplates and colors. As I said, on Amazon there's something like 35 to 40 different variations. They're all the same price, it's just whatever you prefer. This is the one that they happen to send me. So first things first, it is an Xbox One controller, and I want to make that distinction because as you can notice, right, the Series X controller, it doesn't have the share button like the new controllers do here on the Series X. It is also the older shape. So the Series X controller is slightly smaller, just some small adjustments, some grips, a little different thumbsticks, a slightly different D-Pad, more like the Elite, etc. This does use the old Xbox One controller base. So first impressions when I started using this. It feels pretty good. Give you a little close-up. So it is modified thumbstick bases, so you can take these thumbsticks off just like the Elite, and they use these kind of special mechanisms here which give you a little better range of motion, kind of a more smoother action than your standard controller, again more similar to the Elite. These are kind of a custom fit. These will not interplay with other controllers, these thumbsticks, and they just snap on. You have to be very firm with them. So the way I play competitively, I typically use a short movement thumbstick and a tall aiming thumbstick to give me more precision. The concave thumbsticks that they provide are, they have these little perforations on them, and they're generally well performing. They've got a good feel to them. They keep your thumbs in place, and I actually really like them. I actually wish that I could switch these on to different controllers, which I'll get to shortly. In addition to that, they do have trigger locks like the Elite, although these are only one position trigger locks like the Elite 1, not the Elite Series 2, which has the 3 positions. And they have 2 customizable paddles here. They're called the K1 and K2. Note, what I did find out the hard way, probably because I didn't read the instruction manual first, is these are not programmable via the accessories app on the Xbox. So if you're used to doing that with your Elite 2 or Elite 1, it doesn't work. What you have to essentially do is hold down a combination of buttons. So you kind of hold the bumpers, this button here, and then you can remap any of the buttons for any game you want to the paddle in that game. So it's easy, it's efficient, it's not an inconvenience really, especially if you're playing something competitive where you want a dash or you want some special reload feature or something on paddles that's quick access. I will say when you're holding the controller, as you can see where my hands kind of wrap around, and most people do, right? It's got this nice little groove on this paddle where your finger just slots over, and the action on it is nice. They're clicky, excuse me, they're very precise. So not a big complaint with the paddles. I'm not a big paddle guy. I don't use them in a lot of my games, but the positioning of these and the way they perform are nice, and I will give them credit there. Now, for the rest of the controller, I have some complaints. As I said, Xbox One base, and the shell is customizable. So this is a little slippery. You know, I always use the Elite Series 2, which has these wraparound grips, and they're just kind of that soft texture. These are excellent. Like, I absolutely adore the Elite 2. You've seen our long-term review. You know that sometimes it has some issues. You know there's some failures with these things over time. But from a feel perspective, it's fantastic. This simply doesn't feel as good. They use this kind of custom grip material here. It's kind of similar to the Scuff, which is another video that we've done that you've seen in the past. It's a little rougher. It doesn't hold as well, and of course it's not on the front because of the casing. The other thing I noticed over long periods of use, let me move these things out of the way for me. And this is kind of a funny one, but it did make a difference, believe it or not, is because this is a little rougher on the grip here. When you have your hand like this, like when anyone's playing, right? I don't know about you, but I'm kind of always pushing in and gripping pretty hard here, like that. And what this does is it really rubs on your finger here over time. It just rubs and rubs and rubs constantly, and it actually starts to get a little sore. And so I went back to the Elite 2, and what I noticed is, and they must have found this in testing on the Xbox side, is if you look closely at this, and this wraparound grip, is it actually hollows out under the trigger to where, let me see if I can show you that. See that? It's really smooth right there. And that's because that's where your finger rests. And so when your finger rests there, it's nice and soft and smooth, and you can do that all day. You'll never feel it on your finger. On this, after a short while of use, I'd say probably half an hour plus, you literally do start to feel it. You start to feel it on your finger. Doesn't feel good. So that's just one other thing I wanted to call out. You'll also notice, again, because it's Xbox One controller, it is battery operated. I just have some standard batteries in there right now, but similar to those, you can use your battery packs or whatever else. There's really not a whole lot more to this. You know what custom controllers are like for Xbox and PlayStation. You know, adjustable thumbsticks, trigger locks, adjustable paddles. The D-Pad, again, exact same thing you got on the prior Xbox One controllers. It's really no different. It also doesn't have the small little features like textured triggers. You know, the Series X has textured triggers now. It doesn't have any of those new niceties. It also is, you know, especially on this model that they sent me, as you can see, it's kind of got these glossy buttons and D-pad, and they're just a little kind of slippery. Not that your hands are slipping off the buttons when you use them and the action is fine, but they're just not, you know, they don't have the XY BA, they're not super detailed, anything like that. They're just very shiny on this model anyway. One other thing I wanted to mention too is, you know, when they moved to the Series 2 on the Elite, they use a lot of metal components, right? The triggers, the bumpers, the mechanism that connects the bumpers in here, your thumbsticks, and kind of these core foundations. They're just metal pieces, and while that doesn't make a huge difference, it is something you kind of expect for the money. Whereas, you know, when you kind of take off these thumbsticks and you're adjusting things on this controller, they are just plasticky pieces. And, you know, they've been fine to date. Supposedly HexGaming says, you know, these are esports tested. But I can't really speak to, you know, months and months and hundreds or thousands of hours of use. I don't know if you're going to start to see the same type of faults that you saw on Xbox One controllers over time. They just don't look significantly improved in that form. So maybe I'll, you know, revisit in the comments here in the future and we'll see. But other than that, it's pretty much what you expect. The big question for me as I was using this, right, especially going from either the Series X controller or the Elite Series 2, is this is $186. And that puts it square in competition with the Elite Series 2. And so what I was asking myself is, in what vein would I buy this over the Series 2? as I said, you know that these have some faults over time. Some people have issues with them, you know, just some failures here and there. However, you know, things that this has, right? This has 4 paddles instead of 2 here. So if you're someone who uses 3 or 4 paddles or really kind of gets into that competitive scene, that makes a difference. This is also easier to use with the Xbox Accessories app. You can customize all the thumbstick layouts, you know, all those extra kind of things, and it's built right into either PC or Xbox because it's obviously natively supported. It has multiple profiles, so you can quickly switch between different games. You can save profiles for different games, and it's just very, very easy to do that. This also has, you know, that 40-hour battery. The battery on this thing is just tremendous. Anyone who's used it, you know, will tell you that, and it's very easy just to sit on and charge. And it's just got a better feel. The grips are nicer. It's got textured triggers. You have more options for your thumbsticks, as well as the tension adjustable thumbsticks. So if you're like me and kind of gets competitive on FPS, I have this as a very loosely, you know, fast movement stick to get the max movement speed even faster, even if it's, you know, milliseconds. And then I have more tension on the aiming thumbstick because I like to be a little more precise, like I said. This also gives you the customizable D-Pad. So there's just, you know, when you think about customizing these controllers, you don't get nearly as much for your money with the HexGaming controller. This is much more direct focus, kind of like a customized Xbox One controller that's built to be a little more competitive. Whereas this is your natively supported, fully featured controller, and they're essentially the same price. So again, the only real reason I could think to buy the HexGaming One over an Elite Series 2 is potentially long-term usability, but that's to be seen. And so I'll have to revisit on that. But otherwise, I have to be honest with you, you know, I really like the Series X upgrades. They look minor, but in your hands, you know, they really feels good. And then if you want the more customization, the Elite Series 2 is just, it's still the best controller, by far in my opinion. So I really thank HexGaming. They've been very nice people, reached out, you know, followed up with me. No problems in getting this, no problems with the controller itself. I never have a problem with its function, connecting to the Xbox, any of its features, everything works great. So, you know, overall the experience has been really positive. I just don't know, you know, personally I can't recommend this over a Series 2 for any reason that I can see right now. So it's about as simple as it gets. So we'll keep you posted. You know, if you have any questions or you're looking at this controller and thinking about getting one because you like the design, you like some of the features I talked through, or just think it's going to be better in the long term for you, let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that I've had with use. As I said, it's pretty straightforward, but leave me a comment. Let me know. If I can follow up on anything for you, do that as well. But anyway, that is the HexGaming Blade controller. As always, thank you for tuning into Season Gaming, and really appreciate your support, and stay tuned. We've got more controller videos, more statue videos, more shows, just a lot of content in the works. We've been very, very busy lately, so stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.